guys, welcome back to the vlog. Welcome to a pregnancy Q&A. I have been wanting to film this for a few weeks now and just catch you guys up to speed because the past few videos you've seen have been super backdated with our fertility journey. That was over 2 years ago, and then finding out I'm pregnant, that was a while ago as well. I just want to catch you guys up to speed. This will be our first like real-time video, take you guys through finding out I'm pregnant, just a little bit more of that, and then the first trimester, how I'm feeling now, and how I'm planning to, inshallah, navigate this next chapter because it is such a new chapter for me, obviously. So I'm excited to get into all of that, but first I just want to say I truly cannot put into words how much I appreciate all of the love you guys have sent my way just throughout sharing these, you know, vulnerable videos. It wasn't easy to put all of that out, but I really appreciate all of the love you guys have sent, whether you've left me a comment, whether you've sent me a message. So many women and couples just within this community have sent me, I received hundreds of messages with people sharing their personal fertility journey, and truly every journey looks so different, and I was honestly so naive to that before going through trying to get pregnant myself. But I received so many messages from people struggling to get pregnant, who have gone through multiple miscarriages, who have gone through IUIs, who got pregnant right before going through an IUI or IVF, who've gone through multiple rounds of IVF and it still hasn't happened for them. So truly, like, everyone's journey is so different, and after going through a bit of my own struggles, I have just such a respect for women who, you know, struggle with this part of their life, and my duas are with all of you guys because it's not an easy journey and especially if you're going through it and you're not telling anyone about it, it is very lonely. It was lonely for us, and that's really why I wanted to eventually share it. If you've ever been through trying to get pregnant, or you are pregnant, that part of your life when you decide that you're ready for it is so exciting, and that was something that was really exciting for us when we finally decided, like, let's try to add a little baby to this equation. We were so excited. I was so excited in the beginning, and that's why I wanted to film everything. I remember thinking, like, okay, what's the perfect month that I want to get pregnant so I can deliver at this time of year? I remember thinking, like, just wanting to film everything. I wanted to capture that moment of taking a test and getting that positive test and having that happy reaction, and like just capturing that for our own memories, but also to share with you guys. And that's kind of why I started filming taking tests. And I think you can kind of tell in the beginning I'm so frustrated and just like pissed off that it's not positive. And then throughout the 2 years, I just really was in a super not good mental space because it sucks the life out of you. So I knew I couldn't just come online and share, I'm pregnant and this is my reaction to a positive test, without sharing my personal journey we went through, Muhammad and I both, because I think, you know, a lot of people don't realize that male fertility is 50% of the equation. Yeah, I couldn't just come on and share a positive test without sharing what we went through to get there. People can either, you know, learn something from it, or if you resonate with it, I'm sorry that you do, because no one deserves to go through struggling to conceive when you want to bring a baby into this world. But my love is just with everybody who wants that so bad, because it's just really hard to like want that so bad. And you know, seeing other people go through that, but my heart's just with everyone who struggles to go through that, because it's really freaking hard. And I think I touched the surface with my journey. But alhamdulillah, like, I did get pregnant naturally right before an IUI. So although I was learning, and that was the journey I was on, because our fertility doctor did tell us, you know, IUIs only increase your chances a little bit. I don't know exactly what the percentage is, but I think it was like 10 to 15 to possibly 18% more than getting pregnant naturally. So we were on the path of, okay, like, if we do, how many of these should we do before we just decide to go to IVF? And I just remember like sitting in those fertility appointments, like, and the doctor saying like, these are your options, and it's just kind of like, this is what it is. alhamdulillah, you know, I did get pregnant naturally. I am so grateful for that, but it's just like that's not the reality for so many women. And I hope that if you aren't going through that, that you just understand a little bit more and are sensitive to women going through that. And you know, it's so normal in our culture, and I think just like in life in general, to ask people who are married or that is like you think that's the next step for them, like when do you want to have kids? And there's so much behind that question that you might not know that the couple's going through. So just keep that in mind, and my prayers are with everyone that is on this journey, because whether you have been trying and gotten like one negative test, or you've been trying for years and gotten years of negative tests, like that pain is the same and something that all women going through can relate to. And yeah, I love you guys and my heart's with all of you. I want to get into some of the questions. I wrote them all down. I have my computer right here. Went through all the questions you guys asked me on my Instagram story and wrote them all down. So I want to get into kind of like finding out I was pregnant. What do you think you did differently to get pregnant this month? So over our 2 years of trying to get pregnant, I did everything that I personally knew of, that I saw on the internet, that friends told me about, that family told me about, that friends who easily got pregnant told me about, my sister-in-law would tell me about. So I feel like I tried everything that I personally had at my fingertips. Allah is the best of planners, and I always knew I will do everything that I can with the resources that he's given me, and ultimately it's up to Allah. Whatever happens, it's up to him. So I did do the ovulation strips for a few months in the beginning. I did that. I did Mucinex, which people say that, you know, that helps. I did that for a few months. Male fertility was a big factor of our journey, so Mohammed was on a lot of vitamins and medication to help improve his sperm count and quality. I did 3 rounds of letrozole. Although I ovulated naturally, we just did that to increase our chances. That wasn't successful for me. Once we got to the point where we kind of like ran out of options, and our next step was an IUI. A month before, we didn't do anything. Like, we weren't on any medication or anything like that. In saying all of this, we weren't doing anything differently that month. Possibly part of me was less stressed because I knew that the next step for us was an IUI and it might increase our chances a little bit. It was like a little bit of hope for me, so possibly my stress levels were down a little bit. I wish there was something I could share that like this is what happened and this is why I got pregnant, but in the end, like, it was just God's timing for us, which I am so grateful for. Okay, so let's get into finding out I was pregnant, because I took, and I wrote this down, I took a test on day 28 of my period and it was negative. My cycles are usually 30 days. So when I took a test on day 28, it was negative. And I wasn't feeling anything. I wasn't cramping, nothing like that. When it was negative, I'm like, it's negative. Like, I just need to wait till I start my period, then I'm gonna call to schedule the IUI, because that's the fertility clinic was telling me, you know, just wait till you start your period. And it's funny because I had a doctor's appointment the month before and I was on my period, and I was hoping that I would go in and be able to do the IUI that month, because I'm not exactly sure the timeline, but they like for you to make sure you start your period, and then, you know, they time it around the time that you would ovulate. So I was hoping when I went in for that doctor's appointment on my period, I could do the IUI that cycle. But we were waiting on some genetic testing that Mohammed and I both did. So you do genetic testing to see if you guys are, if you carry something, if you're a match, then they say that you shouldn't do an IUI, you should go ahead with IVF, so that you can make sure that your baby does not have whatever that genetic disease is. I hope I'm explaining that in a non-confusing way. When I went in for my doctor's appointment and I was on my period, I told her, I'm on my period, can we do the IUI this month? And she said, since we're still waiting to get the genetic testing back, and I still had like 2 weeks to get that back or so, she was like, let's wait till we get the genetic testing back and we'll do the IUI next month. And then the next month I ended up being pregnant. So subhanAllah, that's why I say, like, for us it was really God's timing, because there was nothing that I changed or did. That's just how it happened for us, which we are very grateful for. So back to the day that I found out I was pregnant. When I took a test early on day 28, it was negative. Mohammed was leaving for a work trip on Tuesday. So the night before, it was like such a hectic night. His car broke down at work. I had to go pick him up. When we came home, it was like 8 p.m. We hadn't eaten dinner. We needed to pack for his work trip the next day. So I was like, had food in the oven, getting clothes from the closet to help him pack. And I was like, you know what, let me just take a pregnancy test, because Mohammed wanted to take like every pregnancy test together, and he hated if I ever took a test without him. So I'm like, well, you're gonna be gone for like a week. I need to take a test now because I'm gonna take a test without you while you're gone. I did one of those cheap ones because I got like a box from Amazon that had half pregnancy tests, half ovulation strips. I had a bunch of those, so I'm like, I'm not wasting, digital tests are expensive, I'm not wasting this time on a digital test. And when I was dipping it in the cup, I saw like the first line pop up, which I guess is like the control line, and I was like, it's negative. So I just flipped it over to not see it, and I'm like finishing with Mohammed, and then when we flipped it over together, we were both truly shocked because we did not think I was pregnant. And to see that second line, after like so long of only seeing negative lines, it was just like absolutely insane. So that night was crazy. We did not eat dinner. I was like, I lost my appetite. Like, I'm pregnant. How am I gonna do anything? You're about to leave me. And he was about to leave for a work trip. I'm like, you're leaving me and I'm pregnant. What am I supposed to do? So I called my OB the next day, made my first appointment, and yeah, that's the story of how I found out I was pregnant. Someone asked, what were your symptoms before you got a positive test? And these are always so fun if you think you're pregnant, to watch videos about symptoms people had before they took a positive test. I did that a lot, and I will say that my symptoms, I had two distinct symptoms. At the time, I did not think they were pregnancy symptoms, but they turned out to be. One of them, and the biggest one, was a headache. For 2 days, I woke up very early. I woke up to pray Fajr, and I had like a pounding headache that felt like a caffeine headache you would have during Ramadan. And I'm like, why do I have a caffeine headache so early? I don't usually drink caffeine for another 2 hours. This is weird, but I didn't think anything of it. Had my coffee, went away for a little bit, so the coffee did help. That's why I was like, it's a caffeine headache. But then later in the day, the headache developed again, and then the next day I had the same thing, and I'm like, why does my head hurt so bad? The second symptom I had was cramping. The day that I got a positive test, before I took the pregnancy test, I was cramping all day. That was another reason I knew or thought that the test was going to be negative, because I was cramping. Like, you know, when you're about to start your period and you're cramping so bad and you're like, ugh, if I go to the bathroom right now, I'm gonna start my period. Well, I was going to the bathroom all day and wiping, thinking it was going to be my period, and it just never came. And I'm like, I didn't think it was a pregnancy symptom at the time, like I said, but then when I took the test and it was positive, I was like, that's why I'm cramping. It's like, I guess, implantation cramps, but it felt just like you're about to start your period. At least for me, that's what it felt like. So those were my two distinct symptoms before I got a positive test. Now getting into the first trimester. Oh my god, you guys. Okay, so I think when I found out I was pregnant, I would say it was like 4.5 to 5 weeks. I found out, like, you know, right before I missed my period, and I was very early on. So I didn't know what to expect with the first trimester. Some people say it's absolutely horrible and they're sick the entire time, and then for some people it's not that bad. So I went down like a rabbit hole of watching TikToks of like first trimester symptoms, and I just scared myself because I'm like, everyone seems so miserable, and I was just waiting for the symptoms to kick in. I was still working out as normal, still eating as normal. I didn't have any symptoms until week 6. And my first, I'm looking at my computer, that's why, because I would never be able to remember any of this. My first symptom was really tender breasts. Like, I remember pretty early on, they started to feel more full, and then they just like hurt to touch, like hurt to put a bra on, super tender, more than like them hurting during your period, very tender. And that lasted pretty much all through my first trimester, and now that I'm into my second, they're still pretty full, but they're not tender. So that has subsided, but that was a very strong symptom for, you know, the duration of the first trimester. I had bad headaches pretty much every day. That was, for me, that was like the worst thing, was my headaches. I will say that I, alhamdulillah, did not get morning sickness, like bad nausea. I threw up one time total, but it wasn't because I was nauseous. It was like I would eat things that would sound so good, so I would eat so much of it. For example, I really wanted vegetable soup, so I made vegetable soup. I had like 3 bowls of it. Afterwards, I was like, that was not good, and it made me so nauseous just thinking about the vegetable soup that I ate, and I threw it up. That was the only time that I threw up, but other than that, I didn't have bad morning sickness, alhamdulillah. I did develop food aversions, I would say, at week 7 through the rest of my first trimester. I developed an aversion to coffee. I didn't drink it for literally like a month. It smelled good, but it did not sound good. I remember after Pilates class, I picked up a latte and it just didn't taste right, and then after that I never got it again. If I had to sum up my first trimester experience into one feeling, it would be, you feel like you're on the verge of having a fever. Your body's really cold on the inside but hot on the outside, and you feel like that 24/7 along with a headache. That is how I personally felt. I was also exhausted. I would wake up from like sleeping 8 hours and then immediately have to take a nap because I was so tired, and I'm not a nap person. I never nap. I hate taking naps because I want to feel like productive throughout the day. I'm like a go type person, and then I'll relax at the end of the night, but I literally had to sleep because I just couldn't function. Water tasted bad. Water tasted really bad. This started like week 6 and lasted pretty much through week 12. I added lemon and limes to my water, and that made it taste better. Things that made me feel better: carbs, really carbonated water. I would go to Sonic and get huge sparkling waters with lots of lime. That made me feel better. Around week 8 is when I developed horrible back pain, like lower back pain, a dull lower back pain that felt like you're on your period, your lower back hurts, but it also felt like, you know, everything's just loosening up down there and your ligaments are loosening up. I also developed round ligament pain, which I didn't know what that was before, but like around your stomach area, your ligaments, I don't know scientifically what's happening, but it would feel like a Charlie horse, like cramp up if you make a sudden sharp movement or something. It would like pull, and then it would just like, it's like a cramp that you can't get out. I would say the first time I felt it was when we were in Qatar, and I was in bed, I sneezed, and it was like a Charlie horse, like round ligament pain in around my stomach, and I didn't know what it was. I'm like, what the heck did I just do? That was my first experience of round ligament pain. I also got a lot of questions on TikTok, which you guys probably know this by now, but I was pregnant during Ramadan, so I found out like right before Ramadan. During Ramadan, I didn't fast. You know, Allah gives us the option, if you are pregnant, that you do not have to fast if you physically can't, and my god, you guys, there's no way I could have fasted, you guys. I felt awful. The only things that made me feel better were eating little things throughout the day and sleeping, so there's just no way. That's also why there were not any Ramadan vlogs basically at all, and why my TikTok Ramadan series didn't exist. I was getting comments like, I'm so disappointed in you, I look forward to this all year and you're not posting anything, and I'm like on the couch like, I'm dying. But I was like, they'll know eventually. But yeah, that's what it was. Week 12 is when I started to feel a little bit better. This is when I started to see the light at the end of the tunnel. So if you're currently in your first trimester, I promise you it will get better at some point. I think that point is different for everybody, but at week 12 is when I started to feel like a little bit better. Week 13 I felt better. Week 14 I felt really great, and I finally started to get some of my appetite back. I want to get into some questions of how I'm feeling now. So currently I am 17 weeks pregnant, alhamdulillah, and I'm feeling really good. This is the best I have felt. I don't want to jinx that. Alhamdulillah, this is the best I have felt yet. I'm just taking every step of this. I'm grateful for every step. I'm trying to soak in all of it, and I'm also just like not trying to overly complain about everything, because I truly am so grateful to be pregnant that you know, when I was in my first trimester, like in the trenches, I was like, you know, I feel like actual garbage, but that means like I've got, you know, I've got the hormones, like the baby's there. So I tried to always like look at the bright side, but yeah, I'm feeling really good now. My headaches aren't as frequent. They just started not being as frequent. I got one of those like ice caps from Amazon that I literally will put on, and it's just like super cold on your head. You can take Tylenol pregnant, but I don't want to take that often, so I really try not to take that. My energy is back. Like, alhamdulillah, I finally have some energy back. I have worked out through this entire pregnancy, and my goal is to stay as active as I possibly can, because I know that'll only help me feel better and help me postpartum. But I do have something called partial placenta previa, and placenta previa is basically when your placenta is covering your cervix, and they found that on my second ultrasound. So it was like 11 weeks, and since it was partial, my doctor was like, you can still be active, but you can't run. I had to take things down a lot. Then my past appointment, my doctor told me to just do nothing except for walking until my anatomy scan in a few weeks. So I have just been walking. I've been going on walks around the neighborhood. You guys, I walk more now than I did before I was pregnant. Like, I always told myself like, oh, I need to walk more. I need to get out in the neighborhood and like be outside and get some more steps in, because other than going to the gym, I don't walk. So I walk more now than I did like before I was pregnant. So yeah, but all I have is like walking right now, and I'm itching so bad to like get back into working out, but I like, obviously the baby's health is priority, so I'm not going to do anything until I get approved by my doctor. Inshallah, I will get approved. I really hope. My doctor did say she wasn't worried about it, because since I was so early, when the baby grows, the placenta moves up. So hopefully it will move and I can get back into the gym. If I am further along and I still have it, I will most likely have to get a C-section. That's why I just feel like you never know what can happen. Of course, I want like a natural birth and all of these great things, but like, I'm just going into this like, whatever happens happens, as long as the baby's healthy. There can just be a lot of bleeding, and it's not safe to push with the placenta covering the cervix, because you're pushing and the placenta is right there. So inshallah that moves, but other than that, I'm feeling really good. A few other questions people asked: do we know the gender? And yes, we know the gender. I can't believe we know the gender. Like, I do want to share that with you guys soon. I'm just waiting. We did a gender reveal. Muhammad and I did a gender reveal. We found out just the two of us, and then we told both of our families together. So I'm waiting to like get some of that footage back and put all of it together so I can share with you guys. But it's crazy, because before you know the gender, it's just a baby. It really wasn't real to me until we found out the gender, and then they have a gender and you can like start imagining your life with this baby, which is just so crazy. Like, I think it wasn't real to me until we knew the gender. Then it really wasn't real till we started telling people, and then once the internet and all of you guys knew, like, that's when it officially felt real. But yeah, we know the gender. I'm excited to share that with you guys soon. I actually did an ultrasound with Mara, Lena's sister-in-law, because she's ultrasound tech, after I had found out the gender, which is really fun, because when you go to your like 10 or 11 week appointment, you can do the blood test to find out the gender, but on the actual ultrasound you can't tell what the gender is. And I remember just staring at the ultrasound for weeks, and I'm like, is this a boy? Is this a girl? I think this is a boy. I think this is a girl. And like, there's no way to tell. So after we knew the gender, the baby just, like, subhanAllah, it's crazy how fast the baby grows from like one ultrasound to the next. So when we saw the baby on the ultrasound and we knew the gender, it's so crazy, subhanAllah. And another thing that was crazy is, like, when I was doing my fertility appointments, I would do a lot of like scans, you know, to look at your ovaries and look at your uterus and everything. Every time you look at your uterus, it's just like this empty sac. And then the first OB appointment we went to and we did ultrasound, there's like something in there. And it's like, subhanAllah, like I had some questions about like if this process kind of pushed me away from my faith, and like if anything it pushed me closer to Allah, because this is life. Like it's, I know that sounds silly to say, but like subhanAllah, like it's so crazy. Like none of this is possible without like Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, like his blessings and blessing us with this baby. And the fact that we tried for so long, there was nothing in my uterus, and then you do an ultrasound and there's something in there. Like it's just, I know that that sounds so silly to say out loud, but just like, I don't know, it's insane. A lot of people asked, do you have names or a name? And I will say that I never grew up with like a list of names that I loved. Muhammad didn't really either. And when we tried to figure out names together, the hard part is like, if you like a name and your partner doesn't like a name, at least for us, like it's not gonna work. So throughout, you know, the 2 years we were trying, we bounced name ideas off each other, and we came up with like literally not even a handful. I think we have 4 names, 2 boy names, 2 girl names that we like. And I think we are set on a name, but I don't think I will ever do a names I love but won't be using, because that video would be like 2 seconds long, and I think I have to savor those names because those are the only names that I like. What about workouts? Will you switch your routine? I have been working out up until like my last appointment. I was still doing Pilates, still lifting weights, still doing all of my regular workout classes, but there are a lot of things I had to start modifying. There's just certain things that might not be comfortable to do. Even if you're able to do it, it just might not be like, I don't know. I learned that even if you're able to do it, doesn't mean you should do it. So I made sure to tell the instructor that I'm pregnant, and then I can either figure out myself how to modify things, or they will show me quickly how to modify things. Definitely been modifying a lot in Pilates, and then weightlifting. There are certain things that I can't really do anymore, like hip thrusts, just because the bar would go across where your bump is. But for the most part, things have stayed the same, and I really want to stick with that, like I said. How far along did you wait to announce you were pregnant? So personally, I really think there is no perfect time to announce a pregnancy online. Like that's just my opinion. Anything can happen at any point of your pregnancy, and I think, I don't know, I wanted to wait until I was at least out of the first trimester, because you know they say that that is a really scary time and the risk of a miscarriage is much higher in your first trimester. So I was 14 weeks. Personally for me, I wanted to share when I was showing, and I have a pretty short torso, so my bump has nowhere to go but out. It's not like I have a long torso and it's gonna take like a long time for it to show. By 14 weeks, I definitely had a bump. With me physically showing myself so much online, people already think and speculate and analyze my body so much without a bump and think I am pregnant when I'm not pregnant. I couldn't really hide my pregnancy more than I did comfortably, so that's why I decided to share. But I really think, like I said, there's no perfect time to announce your pregnancy. Will you be showing the baby on camera? I got this question quite a bit, and I will say that no, I don't plan. I will not be sharing my baby online. Personally, I just think the internet is a very scary place. Although I share so much of myself, and like being a mom will be such a huge part of my life, I don't think I have to share the actual child to share that chapter of my life. And it'll definitely take a lot of navigating. I don't exactly know how I'm going to navigate like being a lifestyle creator, sharing so much of my life, and then I have a baby and I don't want to show them online, but I know I want to share motherhood with you guys, so I definitely have to figure out kind of how I'm gonna do that. But the internet is just such a scary place that I don't want to subject my child to that. I don't see any good in sharing my child online, so I will not be doing that. Personally, I don't even want to share the baby's name online, but I know there are crazy people who will find that information whether I share it or not, and I need to refer to the baby as something when I'm talking to you guys, so I will share the name, but as far as like sharing my baby's face, no. I'll figure out how to navigate that. I might not do everything perfect, but main priority is just protect the child's safety at the end of the day. I thought this was a fun question. Will Lena help with delivery as she is an L&D nurse? I find a lot of comfort in Lena's advice and her experience, and just like seeing how Lena navigated giving birth like a freaking pro. She would like watch her own contractions, move her own stuff. Like, she just knew what to do. It wasn't something that scared her. She worked in as an L&D nurse for 4 years. She saw a lot of stuff. When it came to giving birth, alhamdulillah, her experiences were pretty smooth and she had a great experience. So I definitely, like, she will not be, you know, my nurse. I will have nurses and my doctor in the hospital room with me, but I definitely want her in there to just be like comfort for me, like Lena as my doula basically. I think with her knowledge it'll be really comforting just to know that there's somebody who loves me and cares about me and is looking out for my best interest, and you know, that will be super comforting. All right, you guys, thank you so much for watching this video, sending me all of your questions. I hope this like was fun to watch and kind of caught you guys up to speed on life now. But my next thing for me is just my anatomy scan coming up. Inshallah, that goes good. I'm really hoping I can get back into the gym just because staying active makes me feel really good mentally and physically. Please keep me in your prayers for that. And I am excited to get into some vlogs, some real-time vlogs, and just take you guys through the day-to-day. So if there's anything specific y'all want to see, just leave it down below. Make sure you're subscribed so you don't miss anything coming up, because I feel like this is just going to be a really exciting new chapter. I'm really excited to share with all of you, and I love you, and I'll see you in the next video.